Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics. So it looks like we're taking another turn on the Trump-Putin roller coaster. Trump's relationship with Putin is increasingly looking like that of a spoiled brat to their mother. 1 minute it's "I hate you" when they can't get what they want. Then they go running to them crying when they get a boo-boo on their knee. Right now we're in the "I hate you" phase again. So what's going on? Are we inching frustratingly slowly, at least in the right direction in terms of getting Trump to realise if he wants a ceasefire, then the man to pressure is on the eastern exporting side of this war? But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button to stay notified. So after Russia has been launching another massive attack on Kyiv, are we any closer to getting Trump to see that the conflict doesn't end until Russia ends it? Russia has the power to bombard Ukraine. It doesn't have the power to capture it, and Ukraine is not going to sign its own death warrant. Putin will not agree a ceasefire without any military objectives achieved unless he is forced to do so. So why is it so frustratingly slow to get Trump to realise that he actually does have some power to bring Putin to heel? Well, there are multiple factors we need to consider where Russia and especially the Russia-Ukraine conflict stand. The first is that Trump has been worked on by Russia for decades. He was invited to Moscow during the Soviet era in the 80s. They've been grooming him ever since. Not necessarily specifically Putin, but the Russian state probably has quite a firm hold on Trump's thinking by now. As for Putin himself, Trump openly admires the way he has dominated Russia and then used Russia to dominate much of the world. Trump would love to be the American Putin, to be perpetually in power with only the show of elections. A third factor specific to the war is that Trump has Zelensky's name in his big book of grudges after the Ukrainian president refused to dig dirt on Biden's son during the previous presidential election campaign. And we know that Trump holds grudges. He reportedly hires someone to catalogue all these grudges and remind him when an opportunity arises to take revenge. But rumours aside, we know that he is threatening 50% tariffs against Brazil right now. Why? Because Bolsonaro is on trial for trying to subvert democratic elections. Nothing wrong with that, Trump says. Stop making such a fuss. Finally, at least in the early phase of his second term, Trump thought that Ukraine was the weak link. As I've said before, Trump wants peace, but not because he's peaceful, not because he cares about people, but because he cares about stability. Stability is profitable for him. War is profitable for those who sell weapons. Trump doesn't sell weapons, he sells buildings. For that, he needs them to not be targets for missiles. So Trump wants conflicts to end so that he can improve trade and make sure he gets a slice of the cake. He wants the war in Ukraine to end because he wants the mineral trade, reconstruction opportunities as well. It made no difference to him whether Ukraine was governed by the Ukrainians or Russia, as long as the war stopped. And Trump decided that it was easier to force Ukraine to surrender than Russia. It is possible he has slowly started to realise that for Ukraine to do this is to agree to no longer exist, whereas Russia just has to maybe dump its president if they lose the war. Also, Ukraine has the support of Europe. We're not strong enough to support them as well as we should be able to, or as well as we would have been able to if we'd wised up back in 2014. But we are at least committed to propping Ukraine up as best we can. Most of Europe anyway. Whereas Russia is being propped up by China. Now, you would think this should be a button to press when trying to get Trump on side. China needs the Russian economy to not collapse. Perhaps someone should share with Trump a bit of sporting wisdom that I always say should be applicable in politics too. Always do the opposite of what your opponent wants you to do. China wants to stabilise the Russian economy. Does Trump really want to do what China wants him to do? Now, it's possible that some of this reasoning has been put to the orange one. We know that there have been people in both the Republican Party and multiple leaders around Europe trying to persuade Trump to get tough with Putin. Trump has recently expressed frustration with Putin again for making no effort to work on a ceasefire. Zelensky is changing his ambassador to the US in order to build a better relationship with Trump. Seems the Republicans didn't like the current one. Largely, it seems, nothing personal. It's because the ambassador She was ambassador during Biden's period of office, therefore built up a good relationship with the Democrats and with Biden. And in the hyper-tribal Republican Party these days, I guess this was unforgivable for some of them. So, new ambassador who can focus on relationship with senior Republicans, just as Trump has started shipments of weapons to Ukraine again after Hegseth cancelled them, falsely claiming that Pentagon stocks were low because of supplies to Israel. Transpired that Hegseth had acted unilaterally, hadn't told the White House, and what he was saying was complete bollocks. So shipments seem to have restarted, should include Patriot missile systems, which Ukraine desperately needs, although with Russia increasing its bombardments, not necessarily in enough quantities. Europe has, of course, been flattering the crap out of Trump during the recent NATO summit in order to get him on side. Now, this has always been seen as crucial to getting Trump on their side. During Trump's first term, could be argued the big mistake was that Putin showered him with flattery at a time when other world leaders were telling him he couldn't beat a sack of potatoes in an IQ contest. This time, lessons may have been learned. Flattery costs nothing. It upsets a few middle-class sensibilities, including the UK, but it costs nothing and has the potential to protect some very vulnerable people. Not just in Ukraine either. But what everyone wants is for Trump to do more than express frustration with Putin, but to act. There's been work on sanctions, mostly organised by senior Republican Lindsey Graham, which Trump has not been persuaded to back yet. The package would actually hit China quite hard. And with Trump wanting to get tough with China, as well as BRICS countries in general, you would think applying sanctions for trading in Russian oil and gas should appeal to him. But apparently not enough just yet. Although I see from reports that Graham is trying to refine the sanctions to, for example, spare countries who might be importing Russian fuel but have nonetheless backed Ukraine. And the proposal's also been designed to give Trump the power to authorise very long pauses on sanctions as he sees fit. And perhaps giving Trump that level of control over them will get him to finally agree to the sanctions. The problem then is, will he use them properly? I mean, there will always be a problem that Trump is not only ideologically aligned with Putin, or thinks he is, but so too are several members of his inner circle. Still, with Musk out of the way, that's one of the Putin toadies no longer whispering in his ear. But Trump has had decades, personally decades, of conditioning by the Russians. It's not an easy programme to break. But let me know what you think in the comments below. For more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even join for access to streams and behind-the-scenes updates. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.